Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to 5-out and how to get the best spacing possible in NBA 2K23 MyTEAM. And I have 3 different ways for you to 5-out and get proper spacing in this game. The first thing that you can do, to be completely honest, is just go get the Bucks playbook, the Bucks 2018 playbook. There are 5-out plays in that playbook that will allow you to 5-out. With that being said, that is not how I recommend doing this anymore. I think there's a much easier way to do it, and there are 3 options even in here that you can do this. This is the main way that I recommend 5-outing. We're just going to go into a domination game real quickly. Just hop into a game. Really doesn't matter. I'm just showcasing the spacing that you can get offline, but spacing is super important, especially at a sweaty competitive level, because you need as much space as possible to operate so you can drive the ball, have space to 3-hunt, dribble, create, and your guys are going to stay out of 3-point line so they can knock down shots if your opponent over rotates. That's why you want that spacing, is so that it forces your opponents to play more straight up on defense, and you can attack more one-on-ones and stuff like that and don't have to deal with as many rotations because you have proper spacing. So the key to spacing in my team is this little thing called freelances. And I know many of y'all know this because y'all have played this game for years. Y'all know all about spacing and all about how to get 5-out and all that stuff. But freelances are really important in my team, and that's just the spacing you get. I don't really care if he scores here. I'm just going to let Embiid shoot, because what we need to see is the offensive end of the court. So he hits that shot. Now, watch how my players fill the court. So Chris Webber's running down the court. We kind of sort of have decent spacing. It's okay. There's a guy cutting, but it's okay. We're going to see it. We have like pretty good spacing, right? Like this isn't horrible spacing, but there's a guy in the paint. They're not really spacing the floor all that well. You see what I'm saying? It's not horrific, and the spacing, generally speaking, is not going to be horrific in this game. Basic, or with the base, but there will be certain possessions where you'll have 4 people in the paint, and it's really annoying, but it's not ideal spacing. You don't get the space that you really want to work on the offensive end of the court. So the first easiest, or the first way that we've been 5-outing for years, is we just run the Bucks 2018 freelance, or the Hawks 2018 freelance. It used to be, but now it's Bucks 2018. You just put on that freelance right there, and then you run this pass and screen away play, and they come out in this nice 5-out right here where you have space in the middle of the floor to work, which is great and everything, right? But there are now multiple easier ways to 5-out than this freelance. There are a couple of new freelances that have been added this year, specifically the 5-out freelance and the comp freelance, that are really, really interesting, and definitely set up for some more options, I guess I would say, in terms of the freelances you run. It's similar stuff. It's all intended to get the 5-out spacing, and the Bucks 2018 freelance will work well. That is a totally fine way to get that spacing. But as y'all will see right here, this 5-out spacing is basically just going to do this every single time. The 5-out freelance, and I switch to this freelance, is just going to 5-out the way that the Bucks freelance was already. It's pretty much going to do it. See, it base aligns into this 5-out. But as y'all can see, players are still moving, players are still cutting. That is something that does annoy some people, because they do want complete control. They don't want their players moving and cutting and stuff like that. And what can avoid the moving and cutting pretty much is basically this new freelance. And this is probably the freelance that I think I'm going to run, which is this competitive freelance. And it's highly competitive users who want to create their own actions. Basically, there is no off-ball movement by default, is what it says right there. And it's going to come out in a very similar 5-out type set. You're still going to get the 5-out spacing as the 5-out freelance, but you're not going to get this movement and cutting off ball, which is going to maintain your ability to run the offense exactly how you want, cut who you want, get the spacing with what you want. Like I get into this competitive freelance now, and I'm going to get Paulo Banchero. Okay, so Chris Webber's going to come set me a screen. Nobody's moving. They're just staying on their hashes. Nobody moved from the hash in the corner the whole time. We got perfect spacing, able to find Clay for an open catch and shoot 3-ball. And that right there is what I'm talking about when I really say spacing. This is why it's so important to have that competitive spacing. It's not a huge deal, right? Does it really matter if they're cutting or not? Or like you could run the 5-out or the Bucks like you've been running for years, or like a lot of people have been running for years, or the 5-out freelance, and it'll work great, and it'll give you the spacing, and all that's great. But the cutting, for me personally, if you want to be really good at this game, I mean, you see it, they're coming out in the 5-out setting again, but it's just so nice to be able to drive the ball and know that there's no cutting coming. So you can pass it to open guys. If a defender drops and helps or anything like that, then you can capitalize on it. Like there we go, Embiid drops, we get a decent look with Chris Webber. I miss it because I'm just not very good at his release. I got to get better with Chris Webber's release. But point being, spacing is really important. This comp freelance, I think, is the best way to get this type of spacing right now, and definitely is pretty damn crucial, to be completely honest, to success, because spacing is super important in 2K, especially at a competitive level in my team. So definitely going to want to make sure you capitalize and get as much spacing as possible as you can this year. And I think right now this comp freelance is the best way to do that. So with that being said, I'm going to call the video right there. Not much else I need to talk about. Not too long a video here, just like a nice little 5-minute video. So hopefully y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.